Come on, TV, give me some of that sweet, sweet pep.
What's going on here?
It's the turtles digging the old foot soldiers.
Create your own Terminator with the BioFlesh Regenerator.
I'm back!
Yes!
That's not possible. I've seen that guy somewhere. On TV.
And welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behavior. And today we are doing my top 10 figures of 2020. I know what you're thinking. Dave, it's mid-January. It's done. You missed the boat. Never. I will swim out and catch the boat because I've had so many late additions. So this is not the top 10 or top 25, in my case, Marvel Legends. These are action figures in general. Now, before you say it, all right? There are a few of these that were probably released, I'm not entirely sure, but before 2020, maybe 2019, sort of on the cusp. But I have acquired them in 2020, so they're 2020 figures to me, baby. And let's get started. Number 10, we have Mando with his Beskar armor. This is the Mandalorian, the show that won me back to Star Wars. And boy, that is a tough thing to do because I was as burnt out as you could ever possibly be on that franchise. But there was enough love, care, and attention, and just not slapping you in the face with nonsense that this show had that was just wonderful. You know, it was fan service without being fan service. It was references without being like, look at the thing! This is the thing you love! It's like, no, just little subtle things that just made the show so enjoyable. It wasn't high art, it wasn't like amazing writing. There was actually quite a bit of filler in there, but the stuff that was good was great. Even PS2 cutscene Luke Skywalker at the end was still a wonderful sight to behold. And this figure is just the most perfect representation of the series as a whole. I wanted to get the one that had the Baby Yoda, but unfortunately that 2-pack I could not source. But I got the single release, and he looks great. He's got lovely accessories with his pistol, his rifle type thingamajig here. He has the backpack as well, and I'm always torn as to how I want to display him because I like the cape. It adds that kind of gunslinger sort of mentality, sort of look to him. Although, as a lot of folks, do lament, it is that kind of, plasticky kind of cape, which doesn't look great, but I still tend to go for that look. But I don't know, maybe I'll put the backpack on and put him in a flight stand. You can put a couple of the Iron Man repulsor blast effects in the backpack, so it looks like he's blasting off. That looks really cool, so I might display him in that style. But in the meantime, what's his name? Din Djarin? Either way, call him what you will, but call him number 10 on my top 10 figures of 2020 list. Coming in at number 9, we have, get over here, Mortal Kombat Scorpion from McFarlane Toys. So we've had Hasbro, and now they're going over to McFarlane. My first McFarlane in years and years. And what a great way to get back into McFarlane collecting. Look at this guy. Isn't he beautiful? With his spear jumping out from his hand. That's just so cool. It was seeing Spawn on everyone's top 10 lists that made me think, ooh, maybe I should give these McFarlane Mortal Kombat figures a go, and boy was I right to do so, because he is just gorgeous. Look at this fella. So the amount of accessories and the detail is just what puts him, on this list in his rarefied air. Look at the sculpting on the ninja style gear, all the straps and armor. So much has gone into making this just a gorgeous, great looking figure. Now, perhaps I would have him higher, but my only gripe is that some areas could have used some more shading, like the sword and the yellow on his legs. It looks very plasticky, At a glance, he looks like he is made out of plastic. Whereas the best figures I find, at a distance, you'd think like, Is that... Oh, God. Excuse me. I talk too fast. I swallow too much air. The best figures you'll look at and you think like, is that made out of resin? Or like, is that carved out of marble? Whereas this is like, nope, that's a piece of plastic. So that's a bit of a shame. But then everything else he has going for him so well. Scorpion is an easy pick for my top 10. Coming in at number 8, maybe a surprise one. We're finally getting some Marvel Legends, and it is the Crimson Dynamo. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're like, Dave, Crimson Dynamo wasn't even in your top 25. I know, right? And then you're like, Dave, he wasn't even in your honorable mentions list. I know, right? And yet, here he is, because that's how flighty and unpredictable I can be. I forgot about this guy sat on my shelf, and I forgot how much I love the look of him. Oh, you just see that? I nudged Scorpion and he didn't fall over. Why? Because McFarlane give you stands. So simple, so great, so much needed by every other company. So yeah, Crimson Dynamo. I love like big industrial robot type characters, and the fact that this is a big industrial robot type character who's in the Marvel line, who's a legend, is just great. I love like the sort of the dynamo looking device on the back there, the rivets, all the bolts and everything, and of course like big, also like just big, heavy, wide feet make him so easy to stand. And also I love the like what looks like little coolant or whatever the purpley turquoise stuff in his wrists is. It looks great because it's kind of translucent. It looks like it's liquid, like bubbling through there. He's got the exhaust ports, and look, he could even be. It looks like he could be something like straight out of Star Wars as well, with like the visor kind of look. But of course, he's got the big Soviet sort of star in the middle. Just a lot of character to this figure, and you can get him in some fairly like wide and fun, interesting kind of poses. The only things going against him are the lack of any kind of changeable hands. Kind of like I complain with Spider-Man figures having just this. He just has that. And because there's no like repulsor blast or anything on here, it's like, what are you doing? You're just showing your hand. There's no stigmata or anything. I'm not sure what you're trying to prove. But what I can prove right now is that this guy is an awesome figure and well deserving on his number 8 place. Coming in at number 7 now, we're going back to NECA, and we have, NECA Godzilla. And hardly surprising that he knocked Mando over, because this tail is huge. It came in 2 sections. You have to clip the tail on because there's no way that they can fit that into the box with the rest of him. And that's just a great attention to detail. I'm sure someone might have thought, hey, can we like cut down the size of the tail? And someone was like, no, that's what it looks like. That's what we're doing. And that's why we love NECA. Despite any problems we might have with them, they do make beautiful looking figures. And Godzilla, there's so much nostalgia with me for this character, and they capture the creature so beautifully. And like, just look like the eyes, look at the features on the face. That's what's great. If I just quiet down a little bit, we'll do like a David Attenborough as we follow this creature on his rampage through the city of Tokyo. And there's just the articulation in the jaw as well, so you can have that open and closed. He's looking around. Like, for a figure that doesn't have much articulation, they've put it in where they can do, and that counts for a lot. Plus, speaking of articulation, this tail is in so many different segments. You can play around with it and do all sorts with it. They've put a lot of love into this, and they clearly looked at the design, the man in the suit, and thought, okay, there's only so much we can do with this, so what's the most we can do? And that's what they did. They did the absolute most they can do, and the results speak for themselves. Godzilla, absolutely fantastic. Coming in next, we're staying with NECA and going back to a personal, iconic favorite of mine. It is the police station assault Terminator. This is just probably, I think, like the most kind of horror type, envisage, I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but horrific sort of image of the Terminator. This was back when the Terminator was actually a horror movie. The Terminator, as many people have said, it's a slasher movie. It's a sci-fi slasher movie. And this was when the Terminator was at his most kind of Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees type appearance, when he was just rampaging through the police station. When we first got the iconic line of, "I'll be back," which originally was written as "I will be back," as that's more mechanical, but actually Arnie was like, no, I will say I'll be back. It sounds better. And lo and behold, it did, because it just made the most iconic scene from 1984. And now I even did something with this figure, which I don't normally do, as I mentioned in a previous video. I've gone for the not official canon look. He never had in the movie these guns while also having his face messed up like this. But his face just looks too cool to not actually have this messed up, broken up robot face underneath. So I'm breaking from cinema canon and having it displayed like this because he just looks so great. He's got the extra detailing of the bullet holes on his back from when Lance Henriksen goes and blasts away at him. Lance Henriksen, only person to be killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a Predator. That's an impressive lineup right there. And now, was he killed? He was kind of killed by an alien, wasn't he? He was damaged beyond repair by an alien. I'll give him that. And yeah, I love this figure. It was Bill Paxton, wasn't it? Bill Paxton was the only one who was actually killed by all three. But yeah, this is just a wonderful, wonderful figure. He's got the biker boots with the studs on as well. There's so many great NECA Terminator figures to choose from, but also I'll admit, this is the only one that I know for a fact was released last year. So he definitely gets in the top 10 for 2020. We're moving into the big boys now, and it's time to go back to the Marvel Legends with Dr. Doom. Now then, I had the retro Doom on my top 25, and it was like number 3 or number 2, and people were like, oh, this other Doom is the better version. And I was like, hey, hands up in the air, wave them like you just don't care. These figures are interchangeable. It could have been either one. So this time, I'm going to give you the Scroll Wave Dr. Doom, the way more kind of badass looking Doom. He's got a darker paint job, more terrifying looking eyes inside the mask. I've thrown the storm lightning on his arm, so it looks like he's conjuring up some magical power. That's one of the reasons why Doom is so cool. Like, he's got science and magic going for him. But yeah, this figure is just, I don't need to tell you how good it is. The sculpting on the armor, the straps, the rivets, his gun, which you can remove. I always find it funny that Doom is so incredibly powerful, yet he does also just have a gun. He's like, if all else fails, I can just shoot whoever it is. And then, yeah, the beautiful gold paint on the belt buckle and the buckles on his cape. Just an absolutely stunning figure. The more I do kind of like look at it and play about with it, the more I'm like, yeah, so good. Articulation-wise, like, you're kind of limited. He's a little bit more sort of statuesque because you have, the solid cape, and he's got his kind of skirt trim here. So there's not a lot that you can do with it. You can bend him in all sorts of positions, but it doesn't look right. So, but that's fine because it's Doom. He is a stoic, monarch type character. So you're not going to want to play around with him too much. And why would you? Because he looks gorgeous. All right, we're moving into the real big guns now. So we have, going back to McFarlane, Todd McFarlane Spawn here. Now, this is the figure that encouraged me to look into the Mortal Kombat line more closely, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm a child of the 90s, so of course I love Mortal Kombat. And, Mortal Kombat's 9, 10, and 11 were just killing it. Absolutely fantastic. I love those games. I love the love that the creators have for the title for the franchise, and they've just done a fantastic job with their DLC characters. I mean, RoboCop, come on. If we got a McFarlane RoboCop, oh my god, yeah, that would be my figure of the year 2021. Make it happen if NECA can let you. I don't know, it's probably very confusing, but yeah, this Spawn is gorgeous with the spikes on his arm, the barbed wire type belt, the big chunky Spawn foot. I would have liked it if he was more like kind of the comic version with the red detailing, because I just like that. It's brighter, it's more interesting and colorful. But going for the darker, more sort of modern comic look, I'm still so down with that. He does look like a creature straight from hell with his gnarly John Moxley baseball bat. Actually, it's more TNA Abyss, but let's not reference that. But yeah, this is just a fantastic figure. Really nice articulation too, great torso swivel. Listen to me saying things like torso swivel like I know what I'm talking about. Spawn, absolutely fantastic. Love it. Can't wait for more Mortal Kombat figures. All right, in the number 3 position, don't hate me, but we're going for a twofer on this one, all right? I know it's cheeky, but it's my list, so I'm doing it, and that is Bebop and Rocksteady. I'm not going to wax lyrical on these guys for too long because you've seen like numerous videos with these guys, for good and for bad. But these official, legitimate NECA figures, oh my goodness, the detailing, the artwork that has gone into producing these, like they've jumped straight off of the TV, the expressive faces, the cell shading paint job, the detail and design. Oh my God, I love these figures. All right, my number 2 figure of 2020 is Venompool. He was number 1 on the Marvel Legends list, so there you go. There's a figure in my number 1 spot that is not a Marvel Legend. How about that? Gosh, this is a strange time to be alive. But still, I'm not gonna waste your time telling you how great this figure is. You know how great he is. You've heard me bang on about how great he is. First of all, the texture. Like I was saying about Scorpion looking too plasticky, this guy has that texture, that Kevlar kind of look, that sort of matte finish where it doesn't look like he's made out of plastic so much. It looks like there's more to him, and that counts for so much. Plus, he's just got this great gnarly face with the gnashing teeth and the tongue kind of coming out. Also, the fact that you can actually manipulate and bend his arm so he's reaching back for his sword. There's so much you can do with this figure. And this is just, it wasn't even like a crazy deluxe release. It was a builder figure, but you know, builder figures vary in quality. And clearly this one where they were just like, you know what? Let's go ham with this. And they did, and it paid off. And oh my God, I love this figure. All right, folks, are you ready? My number 1 figure of 2020 is Super Shredder. Now, did he come out in 2020 or 2019? Was he announced in 2019? I don't know. The last year and a half has just been a blur of action figures and craziness. But for me, this is my 2020 figure, so here he is. Is there recency bias? Yeah, why not? Go on. He is one of the more recent figures I've got, but that's why I held off on making the list, because I knew that, like, you know what? There's gonna be ones that deserve a place, and oh my giddy lord, does Super Shredder ever deserve a place, not just on the top 10, but at the top of the top 10. Didn't know where I was going with that sentence. At the peak, the pinnacle of the top 10, we get Super Shredder. Just a huge figure, fantastically sculpted, great proportions. The armor looks amazing. He's got the giant mutagen canister. He's got the eyes, the crazy eyes looking through his mask. Why did his mask mutate? Who knows? But I'm glad it did, because it looks so badass. He's got his big old spear here. When I have him like looming over the other NECA turtles, oh gosh, it looks so cool. Plus, he's got the gorgeous, beautiful actual cloth cape, and it feels like it feels like nice material. It really does. But just the detailing, like the look at that. Look at the back of his helmet there. Look at like the ridges and the texture. There's just so much to it. Plus the fact that all of these spikes, the Shredder spikes, are slightly softer plastic, so I don't have to like worry too much, you know, that I'm gonna snap them off, because they do have give to them, and they need to. So NECA was smart with that. They're like, okay, this thing is gonna break if we're not very careful. So they changed things up, and it works so well. Plus, purple's one of my favorite colors, and we've got a purple Shredder here. And also, I remember watching Turtles 2 in the cinema as a kid, and I was like blown away when this giant Super Shredder emerged. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the most amazing fight scene. Oh, it's over. So the fact that I now actually have this figure looking amazing. Look at the detailing on his huge big feet as well, which really helps him stand. He's got a great base to stand on. This figure, so much joy to get from this guy. And look, just from the size of him alone, if I try and position him, he's just gonna dwarf everything else, including me. So I'm gonna pop him here, and I'm gonna say, guys, this is easily my number 1 figure of 2020. Folks, better late than never. This is, I promise, the last top 10 list you're gonna get from me for 2020. But what an incredible year of action figures it was. Also, what an incredible year 2019 was, as I'm sure that you'll be able to tell me that some of these, probably Bebop and Rocksteady, maybe Scorpion, came out in 2019. But for me, They're my 2020 figures, and what an amazing bunch they are. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this list. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you really like what you see, you can go to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way. Helps keep the lights on. In the meantime, though, guys, enjoy the data blast coming up next. All the most amazing stuff I've found from Instagram. Go give the creators a like and a follow because they deserve all the recognition for their hard work. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.